Welcome back to Historical Veracity for the penultimate episode of our series, Yuval Noah Harari, A Brief History of Humankind, titled The False Will. In part 5 of 6, we delve into Harari's critique of rationality and morality, specifically focusing on the concept of false or implanted desires, a theme that permeates his work. Harari doesn't limit his philosophical allegiance to Nietzsche's life philosophy and his embrace of irrationality. He also lends credence to another controversial theory, the notion of false or implanted will. Originating possibly from Hegel and perhaps earlier with Rousseau, this idea posits that what we perceive as our desires, whether it's going to the beach, succeeding at work, creating art, or enjoying an ice cream, are not genuinely our own. Instead, they are the product of powerful, uncontrollable societal forces, religions, and imagined orders that implant these false desires within us. Harari argues that even seemingly egotistic desires are usually programmed by the collective imagined order. Harari's theory is labeled toxic because it effectively annihilates both rationality and morality concerning the establishment of social or political order. The primary moral commandment for most humans is not to harm others, usually measured against the desires of the other. If someone doesn't wish to go to the beach, preventing them from doing so doesn't constitute harm. Political arrangements in society are also built upon balancing the interests of different groups, representing the desires of individuals or collectives. However, Harari dismisses all this. If one's desire is not genuinely their own, then any guru, charlatan, or tyrant can claim they're not imposing anything on anyone, but rather liberating them from their false desires, granting them the true freedom they unknowingly seek. This represents the most demeaning form of tyranny. A paternalistic government that not only enforces its actions upon its citizens, but also paternalistically explains that it's helping them escape their false desires for their true wants. This leads Harari to a conclusion that humans can be infinitely molded, and anyone can desire anything if the right imagined framework is imposed upon them. This doctrine, utilized disastrously by Marxists and communists in their attempts to create a socialist utopia, demonstrates a failure despite substantial efforts to cultivate the new man. In essence, Harari's thesis suggests that human society is entirely based on imagined orders with no grounding outside societal consensus, which he refers to as religion. These religions are nothing but false names for systems perpetuating unjust discrimination between people to serve the interests of elite groups. But what underlies these elite interests, and why do they seek to dominate and enslave others? According to Harari, their desires are not truly their own, but are aspirations implanted by culture. In summary, Harari posits that people imagine their desires, and to satisfy these imagined desires, they create an imagined order, worship an imagined deity, and from its power produce an imagined culture that dictates their imagined desires, a cyclical madness. Stay tuned for the final episode of our series, where we'll conclude our exploration of Harari's A Brief History of Humankind, and reflect on the series' overarching themes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful discussions from Historical Veracity.